The IEEE 829 standard identifies that there should be a minimum of 16 sections present in a test plan. Those sections are: 1. Test plan identifier, a unique that will identify or used as a reference for the plan such as ExpertWave ABC 123. 2. Introduction, a brief introduction to this document, its purpose, and the project for which it has been produced. 3. Test items, any document, software, tool, data that the tester will need to accomplish the testing activity is called a test item. So the requirement document is a test item, the design document is a test item, the software to be tested is a test item, the tools to be used for testing are test items, and so on. This section should list all the test items that the tester will use and when and how the tester will acquire these test items. It should also contain how and who will maintain those items. 4. Features to be tested. In this section, we should identify all software features to be tested by the tester. 5. Features not to be tested. Here we should identify all software features that will not be included in the testing activity and the reasons for not including them. This is very important to set the expectations of the stakeholders of what will be accomplished in this plan. 6. Approach. Details the overall approach for testing. This could include a detailed process definition or could refer to other documentation where the details are documented. For example, we could refer to the organization's test strategy. 7. Item pass-fail criteria. Here we will define what criteria should be satisfied to indicate that the item has passed the testing activity. For example, the item must have less than 10 low priority bugs to pass, otherwise it will fail. 8. Suspension and resumption criteria. If the tester started to test a component he just received from a developer and the tester found some parts are not working at all, so there is no need for the tester to continue the testing activity. It will be a waste of time for the tester to log those many defects. So it's better to suspend the testing activity until the developer fixes those apparent issues, then the tester can resume the testing activity. In this section, suspension requirements define criteria for stopping part or all of the testing activity. Resumption requirements specify the requirements to resume the testing activity. 9. Test deliverables. Here we will list what we promise to deliver when executing the plan. For example, test plans for each test level, test specification, design, case, and procedure, test summary reports, meeting minutes, and so on. 10. Testing tasks. All tasks for planning and executing the testing, including the dependencies between those tasks. 11. Environmental needs. Here we will define all the environmental requirements for testing such as hardware, software, tools, space, locations, and so on. 12. Responsibilities. Here we will identify the rules and tasks to be used in the test project and who will own those rules. 13. Staffing and training needs. Staffing and training needs identify any actual staffing requirements and any specific skills and training requirements needed by the team, such as automation or database knowledge and so on. 14. Schedule. Here we will document tasks, dates, durations, delivery dates, and key milestones. 15. Risks and contingencies. High-level project risks and assumptions and contingency plan for each risk should be documented. Last, 16. Approvals. In this section, we will identify all approvers of the document, their titles, and the date of signature. Other important elements of the testing plan are defining the entry and exit criteria for testing. Let's look at them in detail. Entry criteria. Entry criteria are used to determine when a given test activity can start. This could include the beginning of a level of testing, when test design and/or when test execution is ready to start. Entry criteria is helpful in making sure that we want to start testing until some aspects are ready. Otherwise, we will be wasting our time. You can define different entry criteria for different testing activities. Examples of some typical entry criteria to test execution, for example, may include test environment availability and readiness, test tool readiness in the test environment, testable code availability, test data availability. If the customer hasn't provided us with the test data, then there is no need to start testing now and waste our time. All test design activity has completed. Test conditions, test cases, and test procedures are ready. Software documentation's availability, requirement document or design document are ready. Exit criteria. We have heard the term exit criteria before in the test process in the first section. Exit criteria are used to determine when a given test activity has been completed or when it should stop. Examples of some typical exit criteria to test execution may include: no high priority or severe defects are left outstanding. We have spent the budget for the testing activity. The schedule has been achieved. All high risks areas have been fully tested, with only minor residual risks left outstanding. All tests planned have been run. The status of the important quality characteristic of the system could be an exit criteria. Remember that according to the test process that when we reach the exit criteria, the tester should provide a report of his findings to the test leader or stakeholder to decide if the testing activity should continue or stop. I know here we have learned a lot of many criteria terms in this lecture, so let me give you an example to explain the different terms. Imagine you are testing the performance of a specific web page. You want this web page response time to be 6 seconds. Therefore, when a user loads the page, it should be loaded within maximum 6 seconds. To measure the response time accurately, you would need to rent a performance tool, and you only have a budget of $500, but you must get approval for this budget first. So the entry criteria to start the testing activity would be the budget get approved. The pass criteria would be to pass the 6 seconds limit. The exit criteria would be to spend the whole $500. You might also put a suspension criteria that the server itself, if not up to your expectation, then you would suspend the testing, and the resumption criteria in that case would be to upgrade the tool. So as you can see from the example that we can reach the exit criteria, which is spend the $500, but the item might fail the test because its response time is, say, 8 seconds. In this case, the tester should write a summary report to the stakeholders indicating his finding and that the page response time is only 8 seconds. The decision makers then should decide if they should continue testing and maybe ask for more budget for the testing, or if they are happy with the 8 seconds result and will stop the testing at this point. Hope this makes sense. Thank you.